Go live button, folks. Just so everybody is aware. And as soon as it shows me it's connected and I close the YouTube window, I'll come back and we'll get roaring. There we go. Okay, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Spirit of Healing Academy. I am Reverend Michelle Scripture Brown, and it's truly my pleasure to be here with you all. Here at the Assembly, we are a group of people who will teach each other to find the miracle of joyful living from life circumstance to accomplish that which seems impossible. And our intention with these gatherings is to stimulate thought, create connection, and expand consciousness. I always feel like that last little part is so dramatic. But really, what it just means is we're going to talk about deep stuff. We're going to talk about stuff that's maybe you're really passionate about. We're going to talk about stuff that maybe triggers you and makes you see the world in a different way, or maybe it really upsets you. And I want to remind you that having an emotional reaction to what we talk about is actually a really good thing, because it means you're banging up against an idea that you've held to be an absolute truth. And this is a moment for you to perhaps become aware of a different perspective. That's how we get to the expansion of consciousness. So allow yourself to feel all of those feelings. And please know too that we are a safe space here. We are happy to hear all the sides of the coin. We do not necessarily need to be right. We only get through that expansion if we all feel safe to talk about how we're feeling and what our perspective is. So please, please, please make sure you do so. Okay. So now that all of that is said, I'm going to take a moment and I want to share with you our acknowledgement of the treaty lands that we live on. I noticed last week, actually, that it's been a while since I did that. And of course, here in Canada, this was just our first official day to recognize the work that needs to be done with the Indigenous people who live here on the land. And I wanted to make sure that we start today's session with our land acknowledgement. So here we go. As the journey towards reconciliation in Canada continues, and we strive to fulfill the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action, it is important that we continue to build relationships and engage in ongoing education. Reconciliation and allyship is a continuous process and one that we all need to engage in fully. With this in mind, we must take every appropriate opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territory on which we reside. Acknowledging the traditional territory is one way to express our respect, gratitude, and appreciation for the Indigenous people who have inhabited and continue to inhabit the land that we have taken from them. It is a recognition of their continued presence, both in the past and the present. Recognizing this helps to honor the trauma of being separated from their land has caused and created within their people, and attempts to foster a safe environment where Indigenous people feel welcome to share their stories with us, who are eager to listen. The Spirited Healing Academy is proud to acknowledge the lands of the people of the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation, which is covered under the Williams Treaties. We are situated on the traditional territory of the Mississaugas, a branch of the Greater Anishinaabe Nation, which includes Algonquin, Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi. Thank you. And now let us proceed to our opening intention. Please feel free to speak these words out loud. May I come to understand that blessings are everywhere, that my attitude will affect outcomes, that challenges are often gifts in disguise. May I come to trust that most things can get better with time, that my instincts and gut feelings have value, that a positive attitude makes things go smoother. May I come to see that I have many skills and talents I can use, that I am a positive influence on many people, that there are those who wish me well. May I come to value that today is a blessing to be enjoyed, that each person is unique and important, and that each moment of my life has meaning. I ask you to say those words out loud with me so that the vibration of them resonates into your body and elevates your energy field so that you may feel more at peace with yourself. So I'm grateful to all of you who do that, because as we raise up our vibe, so too do we raise the vibe of the planet. And we all could use a little more happy-go-lucky vibes, couldn't we right now?
Sure can.
We sure could. Okay, so today's topic actually comes from the suggestion box. It was suggested by Mike, who hasn't joined yet, but hopefully he'll get here since it's his topic. If not, I'm sure we will do our best to have a meaningful conversation from the words he suggested. Interestingly, I want to make clear to you, it's not me who picked this. And I say that, so I want to be clear about that because it's a Matt Kahn quote.
Oh,
So this wasn't my idea. I know, miracles abound, right? Okay, so here it is. Even when working through the depths of physical, emotional, or energetic healing, the key is focusing on newly empowered and loving choices to start, instead of going to war with the things your ego wishes to stop. Anybody have any thoughts?
I'm just rereading it. That's a big thing.
It might be big. It also, I don't know what anybody else thinks. It feels a little almost simple.
I don't understand the last part. What does it mean with the things your ego wishes to stop? That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't know what the ego wishes to stop.
Okay, so let's look at the first sentence, or the first part. Even when working through the depths of healing. So we're talking about a healing journey. While you're going through that healing, your ego is going to throw up things that you are trying to stop. You seek out healing because you want the end of something. And so I think what Matt is saying here is that it is the ego that's saying, I don't know, my toenails need to stop growing so that I don't have to keep cutting them.
Yeah, because they're hard to reach.
I think that's what this means, what your ego wishes to stop. So like in a very small personal detail, I sought out Beam because I wanted to see an end to anxiety. My ego wanted anxiety to end.
Okay.
Is that helpful, Nancy?
Yeah, I'm going to have to just think for a minute.
That's okay.
I don't.
I think thinking is a good thing, but I wanted to make sure that I clarified for you what he perhaps means with the end of that statement.
Okay, I guess I took it the opposite tack of toenails. I went to, you're wanting to let go of your past. So instead of going to war with the things your ego wishes to stop, does that mean in that situation, if I want to let go of my past, my ego doesn't want to let go of the past, or my ego does want to let go of the past? Like,
so it's your ego that's saying you have to let go of your past. Your spirit is saying your past has served you.
Aha. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay.
Your past brought you to where you are today, because it doesn't just mean what happened 25 or 30 years ago. What happened yesterday?
Right.
And what you're at today, where you are today, who you are today, came from all of those experiences.
Right.
Okay, now I can go back and take in the whole
This
sentence.
conversation here is making me think a little bit of that quote about forgiveness that totally blew my mind. You guys remember? Joanne, I don't think you were joining us when we talked about it, but the definition of forgiveness that blew my mind was, the deepest form of forgiveness is the authentic recognition that everything has served you and there is nothing to forgive. And I think that's like what you're saying here, Nancy, about, do I need to let go of the past? I think it's really part of that definition of forgiveness.
Yeah, and just recently I heard for forgiveness, it's giving up the expectation that the past could have been any
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
That one's kind of where I'm at right now. Realizing, doesn't matter how much I stew about it, think about it, whatever, moan about it, gripe about it. The past is what it already is. It is what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
It is what it is, and it was what it was, and now I'm here.
Yes.
So, okay, thank you.
Yes. You're going to say something more, Vet? I see
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, this makes me think of like the very beginning of the conscious decision that you are going to start manifesting a different reality or manifesting your life. So when you decide, hey, I want to be, surrounded by loving people, I want to manifest money, I want to manifest good health, all of these things, from that point on, we're looking at what is it that you want to manifest and how do you bring those, that feeling to you right here and now so you can cultivate more of it, right? So same with the part where it says here, newly empowered and loving choices, start. That's where you're really digging into instead of, where it says the war of what you want to stop, of like, well, I have to stop being so negative all the time. And oh my gosh, well, I'm going to have to go see my family and they're the worst, because, and so we have this tendency of focusing on the low vibe stuff and how we're going to undo it and how we're going to get rid of it and how we're going to, fix it, or, oh, that person's never going to change or whatever. Instead of focusing on what is it that you want to bring into your world and how do you bring that in right here, right now.
Yeah.
That's what it really kind of makes me think of. I like this quote.
It's cool. It's
yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
And I think sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm going through something very similar this week. I've been working on myself for a good year on making myself feel like I am a good person, that I've made choices that are good for me, and also been questioning what the heck has happened to change all that. And the key on focusing newly empowered and loving choices to start. I've been working on that, and then something happened this weekend that put me right down in the toilet again. That I thought I must not be a good person because I was excluded. I'm not thought of in a good way.
Oh my God,
with
Joanne,
family.
You share the same trigger.
Yes. So this is like I say, it doesn't matter how much I've worked on myself for this past year. I'm right back to square one, and I don't know how to stop it. So that last sentence, how do you stop it? How do you stop and I don't think it's my ego. It's just things that have happened to me that have been caused by outside influences.
Okay, so I'm going to stop to share for a minute so that we can just see each other's faces. I don't have a definitive answer to your question, but as I have already indicated, like, you are all up in my wheelhouse right now about feeling like I don't matter and being excluded, and the pain that those experiences bring to me. So I can share with you a little bit about my own process to move through that experience. And then we can talk about it. Before I do, I just want to say your comment about you don't think it's your ego. I think it's probably most healthy if we don't even worry about the terminology, because it just gives us something else to focus on that is wrong and takes us away. It's almost exactly. It's a distraction from the work we're trying to do. Okay, so I've had a lot of experiences in my, doesn't feel like it should be a really long life, but it's been a really long life. And I've had a lot of experiences of being left out, of being excluded, of being dropped like a hot potato with no explanation or reason. And throughout the journey of the Spirited Healing Academy, I've shared really openly about all of this. And it hurts every single time. That hurt does not go away from me. What is different is how I respond to that hurt.
Yes.
So I used to go into like a wallowing place. I would
Yeah.
spend a lot of time believing that nobody cared and that I was meaningless and that what was wrong with me that would cause them to do this to me. I would spend a lot of time excluding people who were trying to have connection with me because all I could focus on was this person or this group who didn't want anything to do with me. And whether it was true that they didn't want anything to do with me, or they just didn't think I would enjoy what they were up to, or there wasn't enough space on the bus where they were all going, was irrelevant. The story I was telling myself was they didn't want me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Meanwhile, there are all these people over here. Hey, can we go for lunch?
Yeah.
Hey, I would love to spend some time with you. That's a really interesting insight you've had. Can we like trade phone numbers and talk? No, I'm in pain. Obviously, I was not consciously saying, no, I'm in pain. But I was so focused on all of this hurt that I was not able to see all of this other opportunity that's trying to come towards me. Now, let me be really clear that it's not always, it's rarely tens, dozens of people wanting to spend time with me. A lot of the time, this feeling of rejection takes place in a vacuum where there's nobody else who wants to spend time with me. And I am left with those emotions. And so most recently, what I've just started doing, and it sounds so simple, is saying, I love you, rejected. I love you, unwanted.
That's a
I
good
love
theory.
you alone. And it doesn't make the pain go away. And it makes the time the pain stays a lot shorter.
Shorter.
So instead of it being months of, it's a day or two.
Yeah. I seem to go to places that help with that pain and saying it's worse when it's family. And there's no reason for it. That's the part that really bothers me. And then I have other people saying, well, you should make the first step, be the better person. But then I do it and then I get rejected again. But it's much worse. The onslaught of you're not good enough for us, or you're this or you're that,
Right.
is far more painful. And all those people over here that I know love me and want to be with me, it wipes that out.
Yeah. Yep. I can relate. I really sunk into the work of understanding contracts and really soul contracts about how my
Yes.
life is going to roll out.
Yeah.
I've really sunk into the work of understanding those contracts and deeply believing and trusting that my life is never off track.
Mm.
So even when I put myself out there, I work really hard to not engage with the language that says be the better person, because of course that just invites judgment or assessment into the conversation. And the judgment, like I'm already feeling judged. And so I'm going to use the ego word. My ego will jump up and show you, well, I am the better person. Let me show you. Here I am being so magnanimous and I'm inviting you to lunch. even though you hurt me, like it's just more of that arguing energy. So I just take that part of the conversation, but we'll reach out and say, hey, things are weird and I don't know why. And the person may or may not respond. But in sinking into the idea of contracts and that my life is never off track, it creates space for me to trust that somehow, some way, this is happening for my highest and best.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, this is happening for their highest and best. And I believe infinitely in the spiritual law of divine timing, which says that everything rolls out exactly as it should in the time it is meant to.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally believe that.
So if we're inviting people and they are continuing to reject us, I take that more as an indication that, oh, well, it's clearly not time.
Yeah.
Now, logically, I could say that, but when I'm in the deep rejection space, I'm like, is it ever going to be time?
I agree. Totally.
Yeah. So I would invite you to really think about, divine timing and
I do.
how
I
this
do.
is happening for you. And you don't necessarily, like, this is the other part. And Nancy was triggered forever about this. I don't even need to understand how this is happening for me. I have to just trust that this is happening for me and be present with those feelings.
Yeah. Thanks. That makes
And-
sense.
And Joanne, one thing I've learned is I think like I've, felt rejected by through the years as well. I can relate to both your stories. And it's kind of funny because I would have said before this started, I thought, well, I'm the only one who's ever felt that. So that my ego plays that game, but leaving ego out of, I've learned that I've realized what's happened is when I was watching something recently, they asked the question and I thought about toxic people in your life. And I thought, well, how many toxic people do I have in my life anymore? And I kind of went, really, other than my family of origin, toxic relationships there, but, not like, anyway, I'm handling it. That all the other relationships I have in my life, which aren't many, they're not toxic anymore. Like I don't have the people that have come in. I think that the absence of those people I mourned for years and I didn't see them for years or hear from them. And I was mourning them for years going, what did I do? What did I do? I got sick. Like, why did they fall away? But I realized something. It opened up space for much more in alignment with me now, people to come into my life. So it was like, and I remember moaning and crying to a friend, I'm never going to have another friend on the planet. I'm going to be friendless for the rest of my life. And then I thought, I was thinking about it the other day because I was kind of feeling self-pity again. And I went, Nancy, you've always had friends. You haven't had 50 friends or, even 20, but you've always had a few close friends that you had, you had something like you've always had. So it's, I might go through phases. So I realize now my life is opening up and I'm better aware of the kind of people I want to hang around now, which doesn't mean I'm better than the other people I used to hang around with. I'm just in a different headspace now. They think I was nuts with what I'm fascinated by now, but they're into their,
or maybe they've changed too.
Well, one of the, anyway. Yes, that could very well be. And it doesn't even matter because what matters is I'm really, the present moment, but I understand totally, Joanne, the, crying and going, what did I do? Like, what's wrong with me? And I'm starting to go, there's nothing wrong with me. There's lots of good things about me. And yes, I have my flaws, but there's lots of good things about me. So please, Joanne, please, I beg you, from all of us here, I am sure we would all say to you, you are likable, you are lovable. Please don't take it personally. The 4 agreements, don't take it personally.
And we're so glad you're here.
Yeah, we're so thrilled you're here.
I'm glad to be here too. I don't mean to dump on you guys, but
you're not dumping, you're sharing.
This definitely hit home today.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm really glad then that I listened to Mike's suggestion, even though he's not here for it.
Right.
I want to go back to the screen because I want to talk about that middle point a little bit. I want to talk about this part here that says the key is focusing on newly empowered and loving choices. So maybe, Joanne, and I feel like I need to write this down. Maybe, Joanne, when we get into this place, we need to look at our newly empowered and loving choices. And doing that is going to remind us, oh, I actually like who I'm becoming.
Mhm.
Oh, I actually really appreciate this new habit. Oh, it's been a long time since I felt this way. Oh, I really love that it's been a long time.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was there. I thought I was there.
Well, remember that it's not a straight line. Okay. Like we don't get to pass it and then never experience it again. As much as I wish I could tell you that you did, it is a spiral. And we are going to
Yeah.
hit the same trigger every layer of our journey forward. Every time. It's like the princess and the pea, right? She could always feel the pea at the bottom of the bed, no matter how many mattresses there were. You are always going to hit this pea of rejection every time you level up. And so actually, when we have these moments of, it's an indication that we are succeeding. Oh, we're on a whole new level. Oh, look at this. I'm rejected again. Yay. That's another mattress in my pile. I mean, that would be ideal,
I
but
think-
I'm pretty sure I'll still cry.
I
Yes.
wonder sometimes when you're feeling that, when you start to come over the depth of the rejection, that you can pause to think about what space got opened up. What were you able to do? Because you didn't get to go to the lunch.
Mm.
So you did something else when you weren't at lunch, and maybe consider that that was a better thing for you,
Mm.
like for all of us.
That's an interesting idea. Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
I think you have to set up a conscientious trigger or something to remember. First of all, you have to let yourself feel the feeling of rejection, and then you can look at why did that happen? What better? That would come along with how is this happening for me?
Yeah.
Because it cleared up space for you to do something else that was different and more enjoyable, maybe.
Also, I mean, you've been doing the work. You've been doing the work of leveling up. You've been doing the work of clearing the shit. You've been doing the work of moving yourself into a different energetic playing field. Okay. And so when you are going back to these same people and they now really, 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 really do not resonate with you, then it's becoming this big blow up to remind you that you're doing the work, and sometimes we don't all do the work at the same pace. You know,
No.
all do the same work at the same time, and so some people are still stuck in their shit, and so for you to entrench yourself down into that, like, is not resonating with you, and so you're continuously being bumped back up. But instead, we're spiraling ourselves down into, well, why aren't they resonating with me? Because, some of those people just aren't doing their work, and you are. And, so I
Really good point, Mervette. That's a really good point.
yeah. I mean, stay where you're at, because you've done all of this hard work. You are 100% not at square one.
Yeah.
You're being reminded of what it felt like on square one.
Yeah.
And you're reminded of how different your life is from square 5,000 that you're at right now versus square one. You have come all the way.
I just want to jump in to say this is all very true. And while everybody said that to me in my most recent experience of rejection and pain, it didn't make the feeling go away.
No.
Right? Because while I recognized, yes, okay, I'm over here and that person is over there. And obviously right now, we're not in alignment and that needs to be okay. You still have to get to the okay.
Yeah.
And so give yourself the time to acclimate to this distance and to experience those feelings, because they don't just vanish. They don't just vanish. As
No.
much as I wish I could tell you they did. Oh,
Yeah.
like now I noticed I've been rejected and I'm like, oh, this is a beautiful spot. I'm now new in enlightenment. That's not what happens.
Maybe
not
you
at
have to
all.
teach yourself to say, so who gives a flying fuck?
Well, maybe, or maybe I just need to allow myself to be human.
Well,
And the
maybe, yeah.
whole job of the human experience is to have this diverse range of emotions. No matter how much we wish that
enough.
we were just enlightened, we were bored with enlightenment. That's why we came to this fucking life. We wanted some excitement and chaos. And now we're here. We're like, oh, I changed my mind. Let me off the bus.
Beam me up,
And-
Scotty.
Yeah. So I do try to be gentle with myself while I'm having the emotions, and to not, like, as you said, Nancy, not take it personally.
Well,
Yeah.
I think it's touch. I think what's going on is, having, lived this experience too, is I think it touches on childhood stuff of feeling rejected. And then it's like you have to soothe your inner child. You have to talk to your inner child and say, it's all good. I've got this. I've got you. I love you. You are a good person. I know you're a good person. Believe me. You know what I mean? Like, because it's so wounding to feel rejected. It's so hurting. It goes right to your heart. And it's like it makes you turn on yourself. It
Yeah.
makes you turn that rejection behavior. It makes you start rejecting yourself, which is like, wow, that's realizing that's a sad thing to do to yourself. Because I listened to a YouTube talk yesterday on are you your own best friend? And this woman realized how she self-talks. She would never say to a best friend in a million years, like she said, close your eyes, think of the last time you beat yourself up with your thoughts. She said, whether it was this morning or yesterday or whatever. Now close your eyes. Now think of the words you said to yourself. Would you, in a million years, if your best friend was sitting there saying the things to you that you just said to your, worried about yourself, would you speak those words to your best friend? Not in a million years. So she talked about, anyway, different steps. It was a brilliant talk, because I thought, wow. So that's kind of a situation where put your arms around the little child inside you,
Yeah.
and say to
It
that
for
little
sure-
child what
It
you
for
wish
sure
someone
always
would
comes
say to
back
you.
to that inner child wound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what my therapist said. If your friends treated you like this, would you accept them as a friend? And I said, but it's not my friend, it's my blood. So
Listen,
how do
to
you get
me,
over
the
that?
distinction is only cultural. The distinction between those relationships is not as important as you think it is.
Yeah.
And I say that as somebody who is estranged from her father.
Yeah. Well, I'm from my
I
daughter.
have my love lines and I have my bloodlines. And I am not afraid to walk away from. A friend of mine just painted this for me. I got to show you. Figuring out where to hang it up in my office. It's a quote from Glennon Doyle. Can you read what it says?
I will not stand.
I will no longer stay. I will not stay, not ever again, in a room or conversation or relationship or institution that requires me to abandon myself.
Wow.
I don't care
How
if we're
true.
related
How
or if we're
true.
not.
Wow.
That's so important right now too, and just the world. Be
Yeah.
true to you, be true to who you are. And also, Joanne, when you were talking, something that had come to me was, would you take your family, in this case, word on every single person who they think is worthy or not worthy?
How do
That's
you mean
their
that?
judge- oh.
Like they say, I'm not worthy. Is that what you
Yeah.
mean?
Like if you think that your self-worth is nothing or lower because they don't approve of you, but would you listen to them to hear back and forth of, oh, that person is worth worth something or that person is not worth something.
See, when this first all erupted, I did think I was the problem and I was the lower person. So I was the issue. But then when I got to working on myself, I realized that once they marry, it's no longer your path. They're on their path, you're on yours. So whatever happened in that her path is what happened. And I
Right.
can't change it. I can call her and that, get rejected again, slam the phone down, and there's no communication. But I can't blame myself.
Right. You cannot. And the more work you do on yourself, like you said, you thought you were the lower person. And the more you learn that you are not the lower person, the more they are going to insist that you get into the role, the box that they have assigned you to. And if you can't do that, then there will be distance. That is
Yeah.
exactly what happened with my father.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happened.
And there's nothing you can do about it unless you choose them over you. And
Yeah,
I'm done choosing
I'm-
other people over me.
I'm not going to.
I cannot get to happiness if I'm choosing other people over me.
Yeah,
I choose me.
yeah.
Joanne, maybe read, if you like to read, Glennon Doyle is an author who wrote a book called Untamed. I think you would love it. Hey,
It
Nancy?
is.
Untamed?
That's where that quote came from that your friend painted. That was my favorite,
Yeah.
one of my favorite quotes from that book, but I could have highlighted the whole book. It is spectacular.
Yeah, it is a great book. It's called Untamed. And
who's
her
the
name is
author?
Glennon, Glennon, last name Doyle, Doyle.
Okay,
And
I'll
you,
look that
you
one
can
up.
see if the library has it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can see if the library has it.
Yeah, I read a lot of self-help books, listen to YouTube self-help,
Yeah, she's amazing.
and just trying to help myself feel better about myself.
Yes,
Like as of this morning, when I was told what happened last night and I was excluded, I thought, I'm still a good person.
you are.
And I
You are a
just thought,
beautiful soul.
I'm not gonna let it bother me.
You are a beautiful soul
Thank
who
you.
is shining her light in the world with people who want to know you.
Yeah,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for letting us support you.
Well, I didn't mean to take over the whole Sunday.
Listen,
No,
I got to
no.
tell you how nice it is that it's not my life on the serving platter.
Well, it sounds like we're
Once.
all sort of getting similarities,
Yes.
Yes,
different
absolutely.
people.
And
Yes.
all of us have had these horrible experiences in our lives.
Yes.
And some of us are still working through it. And
Yes.
some of us are able to say, thank God I got through that, over
Yes.
that, whatever. We're here for you, hon.
Yeah, I have asked God, why is this happening? And then I was sitting there the one night, I don't know, I just thought, well, maybe this is to help me understand who I am. And I
Yeah.
am a good person.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, I just got like shivers. My brights are on. Everything.
Well, yeah. Because if I stoop down to their level,
Yeah.
I'm not being a good, kind person. And they're very unkind. So why would I want to?
Why would you want to
subject-
spend time with them?
Exactly. Why would I
Yeah.
subject myself to that kind of
Mm.
unkindness?
You
There's
are
enough in the
now
world.
seeking love. You are seeking love and kindness. That's all you have space for.
Yeah,
What a beautiful place to be in your life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take one last look at this quote that apparently was so timely. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Even when working through the depths of physical, emotional, or energetic healing, the key is focusing on newly empowered and loving choices to start instead of going to war with the things your ego wishes to stop. Mm. Mm. Anybody have any final thoughts they want to share?
I just had a thought.
What's that?
My ego's sitting on my shoulder. Can't see my shoulder. Okay, goodbye.
There you go.
Very nice. All right, my friends, I am going to go ahead and mute you all so that we can all share in the affirmation of hope and continue raising our vibrations, and so too then the vibrations of the whole planet. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Bring your gifts of optimism, faith, and positivity. Grow strong within me today and every day. Increase my connection with those around me. Balance my moods with a lightness of being, and touch all those I meet with blessings. Hope, fragile, luminous, and buoyant, fill me now. Humble and expand my heart with openness, making me compassionate, relaxed, and kind. Aware of the many blessings I have each day, making of me a better, more human person. Hope is a gift that passes through me to others. And so it is. Thank you all for being here. This was truly a wonderful conversation. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful week.